A large castle sat on top of a remote hill. Leading up to it was a single, narrow, winding road. Lightning and thunder cracked across the sky, but there wasn't any rain. Inside, the castle was decorated in a surprisingly modern fashion. The walls were covered in splashy art, the rooms were furnished with the newest styles, and everything was connected with the latest in technology. Tall, sinister Volanus stood at the top of a long stairwell, looking down to several floors beneath him. His eyes twitched with evil thoughts, and his lips curled into a sly smile. The black goatee on his chin looked very devilish, and he wore an all black tuxedo over a black silk shirt. In a booming voice that echoed throughout the castle, he yelled out, "Duncan!" There was no answer. He called out again, "Duncan!" A short, stubby bald man appeared at the very bottom of the steps and looked up at him through thick Coke bottle glasses. "Do you have it?" boomed Volanus. Duncan nodded. "Well, what are you waiting for? Bring it here." Duncan hurried up the steps, carefully carrying a wrapped package in his hands. As he waited, Volanus pulled out a fingernail file and sharpened his long nails, shaping them into claws. Duncan hurried up the long staircase, puffing and wheezing, sounds that echoed throughout the castle. Volanus continued to sharpen his nails. He took one thumb and clawed 3 times at the banister. When he pushed at the spot he had dug out, a triangle portion of the banister popped out, plummeting all the way down to the bottom floor. Watching it fall, he evilly smiled. Perfection. He put the nail file away just as Duncan reached him. "I have it, your most evilness." "Before I forget, Duncan, have that part of the railing fixed." Duncan looked at the spot where the railing was now missing a piece. "Yes, your evilness." "Let's see what you've brought me." Duncan held out the package to Volanus, who unwrapped it. Inside was a bright green glowing rock. Volanus laughed as he picked it up. "Ah, look at it. Perfection. Now, Duncan, we have all the necessary pieces in place." You got the bug spray too?" Duncan asked. Irritated, Volanus replied, "It's not bug spray, you fool. It's arachnid spray." "What's the difference?" "The difference," Volanus explained, "is that scorpions are arachnids, not bugs. So a superhero who got his superpowers from a scorpion is an arachnid." Duncan beamed at his cleverness. "Very good, Duncan. Very good. There may be hope for you yet." He held up the glowing rock and examined it. "Very little hope, but hope nonetheless." "Will it all be ready in time for our guests tomorrow?" Volanus glared at Duncan. "Why do you ask such a thing? Do you think me an imbecile, that I, the great Volanus, would plan so poorly as to not be ready for our guests?" "No, your evilness. I just meant—" Grabbing Duncan by the arm, Volanus dragged him away. "Come, I will show you how ready we are." In a room at the top of the tallest tower in the castle, Espionage and Devious waited for Volanus. Espionage stood slumped against the wall while Devious sat calmly in an armchair. The table in the room was full of bottles with potions and several mysterious devices. There were strange graphs on the walls, and scribbled calculations covered several blackboards. Volanus entered, dragging Duncan behind him. Standing the little man up straight, Volanus said, "Here, see how ready we are." At this, a bolt of lightning struck the castle. The crack of thunder shook the tower walls. Still, there wasn't any rain. "I've been thinking, and I think it's a mistake not to account for the superflaws," commented Espionage. "What? Are you kidding me? Here." Volanus tossed the green glowing rock to Espionage, who caught it. As he examined it, Espionage said, "I mean, they could be trouble." Volanus picked up a pile of files off a table. "Let me explain something to you. We are interested in defeating superheroes here, not superflaws. It would cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of more dollars to stop the superflaws. But the beauty is, we don't need to stop the superflaws. They already have built-in flaws to stop themselves. It would be a waste of money. Duncan, tell him." "If there's one thing his evilness doesn't do, it's waste money," explained Duncan. "But better safe than—" Volanus interrupted Espionage. "Better safe than sorry. Yes, we're all aware of the saying. Let's see who you want us to be safe from, shall we?" Volanus opened the top file, revealing a picture of a short-haired teenage girl in a cape. "What's a superflaw?" asked Duncan. "That's what I'm about to show you, Duncan. But since you have no patience, I will tell you immediately. A superflaw is someone born with superpowers who also has a flaw in their DNA that's directly related to those powers. They are not superheroes, but they are not normal people. They are flawed. Shall I continue, Duncan?" Duncan nodded, swallowing hard as Volanus stared crossly at him. Volanus indicated the girl in the file. "Lisa Kinslow can fly, but cannot land." He flipped to the next file. It showed a teenage girl in a track uniform. She had long, thick hair and looked very athletic. "Julie Trumbull," said Volanus, "the fastest human alive. She could run 4 times faster than a cheetah for hours at a time. She cannot, however, stop or change direction once she starts running." Volanus continued to the next file. This time the picture was of a young teenage boy wearing his gym class uniform, which read "OK." "This is George Duval. He can become invisible at will." Volanus gave an evil chuckle. "Unfortunately, he cannot see while he is invisible." From the fourth file, Volanus pulled out a photo of an older teenage boy in a light green outfit with a slim cloth mask over just his eyes. Sprouting from his back were 4 small dragonfly-like wings. "Now, here we have someone of some concern. Praying mantis. This boy can change colors just like his insect namesake, the praying mantis, and blend in with whatever his background is. He can grab his victim and wrap it in an unbreakable silk cocoon. Plus, he can fly up to 1 mile at a time before he has to stop to rest. But," Volanus chuckled again, "he dances uncontrollably whenever he hears music." The other villains stared at their leader, puzzled. Volanus waved his hand at them. "Don't ask me to explain DNA." He flipped to the last file. Ah, yes, my personal favorite. The file contained a picture of Chester. "Chester Manley, the strongest person in the world. He is stronger than all the superheroes combined. But guess what? He can't lift anything under 100 pounds. And he's only 10 years old. A 10-year-old can't stop us." Volanus snarled as he threw all the files up in the air, scattering their contents about like autumn leaves on a windy day. "Except for praying mantis, these superflaw people do not even bother with super names or secret identities. Plus, they're only children," Volanus shouted. "I will not waste time, money, and resources on these fools. Do you hear me, Espionage?" "Yes, your sinisterness." "Forgive me," Espionage said, humbly. Devious, who had been watching this whole scene quietly, now got into the act. "I agree with Espionage. The superflaws should not be overlooked, Volanus. Perhaps there is another way to deal with them." "What do you have in mind?" demanded Volanus. "Who stands to gain from the disappearance of superheroes?" asked Devious. "Besides us and the rest of the criminal element." Volanus smiled. "I see what you're getting at." "With superheroes out of the way," Devious continued, "the superflaws will be the only ones with any kind of superpowers, even if they are flawed. But unlike a superhero, the average human can stop a superflaw." "Yes, yes, I see," said Volanus. "So we framed the superflaws for the disappearance of the superheroes. The authorities will put them in jail, and with both them and the superheroes out of the way, we will do whatever evil activities we please. We shall rule the world." Devious replied, "Yes, quite simple, isn't it? The public will think the superflaws got rid of their lovable superheroes because they were jealous of their unflawed superpowers." "Devious. You are devious. Get on it, Espionage." As Volanus howled with laughter, thunder crackled and lightning bolted through the inky black sky. Still, there wasn't any rain.